With how large this theme park has gotten, I've had one question heavy on my mind. How much electricity are we using to keep all of these rides and lights powered day in and night, every single day? Because this park is open 24/7. We don't sleep, baby. And to try to figure it out, I looked up how much electricity Disney World uses on an annual basis, because that's the only park I can think of that's nearly as big as this one at this point. And I found online that Disney uses around 1.2 million megawatts of power every single year, which would cost an estimate of $97 million annually. Now that's enough electricity to power 110,000 houses every single year. So from an electrical standpoint, that means our theme park is using enough electricity to power a small city, which makes sense. I would say this theme park is around the size of a small city. Now Disney World has a couple of its own power plants and its own solar farm, so I think they make a lot of their own energy, which is really self-sustainable and efficient. When I learned about this, I considered maybe I should build a solar farm somewhere in our theme park, because there is an area behind the volcano where we could fit in a solar farm. And it might even be cool to put a roller coaster going around the solar panels. I could even build a structure that looks more artistic that's covered in solar panels, and then we have a roller coaster going around that. There's multiple options, but I am curious, what do you guys think? Do you guys think we should have a solar energy farm in our theme park so we can be completely self-sustainable? Because what if the local energy grid goes down? Then we would be pretty much screwed. I think for several reasons it makes sense to build an energy farm in our theme park. It'd be cheaper, it'd be green energy, we'd be self-sustainable, and solar farms look really cool and we could build a really cool ride around it. We're thinking into the future, and the future is looking pretty green. And by green, I mean the money that we're going to be saving, because if we're having to spend over $100 million on electricity for our theme park every year, then dang, that's just not going to cut it. Anyways, welcome back guys, that's enough energy talk for now. Let's go ahead and talk about what we're building today. The thing that we're starting off with is we are currently right outside the entrance of the giant volcano in the theme park, where I am building the entrance to the next section of the theme park. So I have a couple levels of inspiration for this area that I kind of need to describe to you guys. The first thing that I'm inspired by is the album Astroworld by hip-hop artist Travis Scott, who made a hip-hop album inspired by the now defunct theme park Astroworld that used to be near Houston, Texas, closing quite a while ago back in 2005. Now, nothing terrible happened at the park causing it to close down. The main reason it went defunct and had to close was because of bad business decisions and bad investors purchasing the park and then going bankrupt over $2 billion, and because of that, having to close down several parks, one of which being Astroworld. Now, Travis Scott, who is now one of the most famous rappers in the whole entire world, grew up in the Houston area and went to Six Flags Astroworld all the time as a kid. And he was pretty devastated whenever the park closed down because he felt like they were taking a lot of the fun out of the city. And so whenever he became popular, he wanted to bring some of that Astroworld fun back to Houston. So Travis started a festival called Astroworld Fest in Houston, and to say that it's popular would be an understatement. People showed up to rage at this event in droves. That right there is literal concert goals. But that footage I showed you was filmed from the top of a Ferris wheel. And the reason that is because Travis brought in a bunch of fair rides for the festival to bring back the energy and spirit to Houston that Astroworld used to bring. Which I love, man. Let the kids rage. You took away their theme park, so now they're just gonna have to go wild at Travis Scott shows. And then also on the Astroworld tour, where he went to different stadiums, he even set up a roller coaster inside the stadium that people could ride around during his concert on, but it moved kind of slow. It was more for just like the aesthetics. And he would have theme park rides like a Ferris wheel prop at his shows. And I haven't been to one myself, but I have seen some videos and it looks absolutely awesome. One of the coolest themes I've ever seen for any live musical performance. But I'm not surprised because Travis Scott is simply a visionary. Now that I've introduced all of this, you might be wondering how I'm using this Travis Scott album as inspiration for the next section of our theme park. So what I'm going to be doing is we have our gigantic volcano here in the back corner of our theme park. And inside the volcano, we're going to have several rides, including a coaster or two. And then as far as the theming is concerned, you can sort of see, based off of everything we've been building for this episode so far, Well, we're going with a Wild West theme because I thought combining the whole Western culture from Texas with the volcano, the lava, and the fire really kind of matched that concert energy. So I thought having like a volcanic Western area would be the perfect match for Astroworld. And then the album Astroworld, production-wise, is a psychedelic trap album. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be buying some psychedelic trap beats online. I'll be leasing them and I'll be playing them inside our Astroworld theme section. And then I'll also be adding lots of cool effects like concert lights, scaffolding, like fire effects and things to really make it seem like it's a psychedelic rap concert inside a volcano with a Wild West theme. It's like a conglomeration of a lot of themes, but I think that actually fits the vibe of Astroworld in a really unique way and is going to bring a lot of originality to this last section of our theme park. Let me know what you think of this idea in the comments below, and if there's any cool ideas that you'd like me to implement inside this new land, let me know in the comment section below and I'll try to include some of your guys' ideas. And as you can see, we kind of just built a western strip leading into the volcano as an entrance because I wanted it to be visible from the outside. And I think we have a pretty good start. I'm gonna roughen it up a little bit and make it seem a little bit more industrial by adding some pipes and some radioactive waste containers and try to give it this weird like industrial Wild Western miner vibe. And I think I heard during one of his interviews at one point is that Travis Scott hopes to become successful enough someday to actually rebuild Astroworld in Houston at some point. Now it costs tens of millions of dollars to start a theme park and a lot of overhead, so that's probably not something in the cards anytime soon, but I would love if Travis Scott got into the theme park business after retiring as a rapper in the future. He's a really creative guy, so I'm sure he could bring a whole new vibe to designing a theme park. And while designing the inside of this volcano, I'm gonna try to think like Travis Scott, because he has just such a vivid imagination. I'm gonna try to bring a new level of originality to this new section of the theme park that we haven't seen in any other part that we've built so far. Also, I do think it's pretty wild that we haven't built any Wild Western themed sections in this park so far with how big it is. Usually Western theming is the go-to theming style for theme parks because realistically it's pretty easy to build on a budget. You're just building old wooden looking buildings. And seeing Silver Dollar City as my home park growing up that I've been to a ton, I have a lot of inspiration from growing up going to that park that I can build upon for building this Astroworld section. I'm just gonna take what I know from Silver Dollar City and add lots of cool fire, lights, smoke, and psychedelic effects using just cool lighting and other scenery pieces that we have. But overall, I'm really excited to put a new spin on a Wild West themed section of a theme park because it's been done 100 times and I'm excited to try something different. And oh my gosh, I just realized I made the stupidest mistake. So I put a sign above the restaurant that says dinero because for some reason I thought dinero meant dinner in Spanish, but I'm just now remembering that dinero means money and that cena is dinner in Spanish. So people are gonna think that's a bank instead of a place to buy food. I'll go back and fix that next episode. My 3.5 years I took of Spanish, all for nothing at this point it seems. I am really hoping that people come to this section of the park though when it's done, because it's pretty far out of the way. Although I don't think any ride being far away will ever stop any of the guests from going to it. I think they have determination and will go to any length. It'd be kind of funny to do an experiment in the future, just play Planet Coaster and try like a bunch of just weird stuff out and see what happens. You know, just some Planet Coaster science lessons. And check it out. We knocked over the wagon because the Ragers went too hard. But yeah, so I'm done for the Wild West section for now. I'm glad we got the entrance to that all squared up, but I don't want to build any more until we build the coaster next episode, which I'm going to be doing with my friend Troy. But until then, we're coming back and I'm going to be decorating around the Sky Temple, which I've been avoiding decorating this for a long time now. Not sure why, but here we are, giving the Sky Temple some attention. And I'm going to make this thing look beautiful. So, as we're decorating the Sky Temple, I want to talk about finances. I want to talk about the ways theme parks make money, and if they made Planet Coaster 2, how they could implement more ways of gaining profit for if you're playing this game in a non-sandbox mode. Now, theme park simulation games are two types of games. They're management games, where you're trying to balance your finances and trying to keep your guests happy, but they're also sandbox games in the sense of you can just focus on making your park beautiful and making the rides of your dreams. Now, one thing that kind of always bothered me about these theme park simulation games is how unrealistic a lot of the pricing can be. And the main culprit of that is in a lot of these games, you'll charge money to enter the parks, but then you'll also charge money to get on the rides individually. And a lot of the time, the theme park simulation games will require you to make your park like that if you want to even be able to profit in the first place. But that's a little bit annoying in my opinion, because no theme park is like that. Unless you go to maybe a state fair where you have to pay $5 to get in, then you have to pay for ride tokens to go on their rides that are about to like break apart. But that's different. That's for a fair. And the admission for fairs is really, really cheap for that reason, to keep it pretty balanced out. But for theme park simulation games, you typically have to charge like a full admission price, and then you also charge to ride all the rides. And I've never liked that. But I understand why they do that, because there's not a lot of ways to make money in these theme park simulation games. So I was thinking about it, and I was wondering, what are some new mechanics they could add to a Planet Coaster 2 to make your parks more profitable in a more realistic sense? What are some tactics that theme parks are using today to make money and to remain profitable? So the first main thing I can think of is line skipping passes. But that is something that I did not add to our park because, in my opinion, in a perfect theme park, nobody has the ability to skip lines because they have more money than other people. Everyone just has to wait the same amount of time. So that's why we didn't put any like line skip features or any line passes in our theme park. But in most real theme parks, you're able to have line passes. And in Planet Coaster, you can have line passes, which is a great way to make money in my opinion. I'm glad they added that feature. But yeah, some theme parks will charge a lot of money to give you the ability to skip ahead in line. Hundreds of dollars, which I don't think is personally worth it. I would rather just try to arrange my trip to go to a theme park when it's not as busy, so I don't need those passes. But also, some people can't go on vacation whenever they want because of their jobs or because of kids, so they have to use those types of services in order to avoid the lines. And then the next way to make a lot of money is obviously food. Theme parks love to charge way too much money for their meals, especially since they're usually fast food level quality, but upcharged to be like twice as expensive as fast food. But I think the big things that theme parks use to make a lot of money is their meal passes. Because people will spend about $140 on a meal pass because they're promised 2 free meals every single time they go to a theme park. But then, the thing that they're not realizing is, say their meal pass costs $140 and a meal at a theme park is $14 on average, you'd have to visit the park 7 times and get 2 meals each time you go to just break even on the meal pass, let alone to actually like make money. So you're already like indebted to go to that theme park several times throughout your year, which can definitely pay itself off if you're going regularly. But it's really profitable for a theme park to do that because typically it only costs maybe like $5 to $7 on average for the theme park to make that meal in the first place that they normally charge $14 for. So if that's the case, you'd have to go to the theme park 14 times and get 2 free meals each time you go before they would even lose any money. So yeah, meal plans seem like a great way to like spike those prices. And hey, in America, people will pay that extra money for the unlimited food option because there's something comforting knowing that you have unlimited free food. Now, meal passes are something that I guess they couldn't really add to Planet Coaster unless in Planet Coaster 2, they kind of changed the formula and actually made it so there was like realistic day and night cycles where in the morning, all the people came to the park and during the night, all the people would leave the park. That would be really cool though, if you could really have like really scheduled days and if you could really micromanage the schedule. Because like right now, these theme park simulation games aren't very realistic just because of the fact that people come to your park and they stay forever. That is not how theme parks work. And unfortunately, that just kind of like ruins the whole entire thing. So I feel like if they really want to make like a realistic theme park management game in the future, they need to implement like a season cycle, having portions where your park has to be closed because of weather, you know, just adding some of that realism and adding the challenges that real theme parks have to face. I guess they wouldn't necessarily need to add that type of cycle in order to add meal plans. They could still add meal plans and then just allow the guests, whenever they're in the park, infinitely to get as much food as they want before they leave. But then at that case, that seems a bit unfair if the guest never leaves the park. But if they were to implement closing hours and implement seasons and all that kind of stuff like real theme parks, they could also add season passes as one of the things guests could buy whenever they're coming to the park. And that is another whole way to try to inflate the amount of profits your park gets. I would say season pass packages are one of the most profitable things for theme parks, and that's not something that's ever been offered in a theme park simulation game. The next thing bringing in some money would be arcades, which I'm not sure how profitable arcades are today. And also in theme parks, I don't know why anybody would go to an arcade when there's roller coasters and different rides to ride. But hey, I mean, gamers are everywhere, and you have to respect the gamer hustle. But yeah, arcades are another way to bring in some cash flow. But Planet Coaster doesn't have arcades. We built some arcades in our park using custom scenery, but it would be cool if Planet Coaster 2 had some arcade machines that the guests could actually walk up to and interact with and play and spend money on. Alright, now I interrupt this message because we are building an Animal Crossing village out of nowhere. I found some really cute Animal Crossing scenery, and I thought it would be a great addition to our Oriental area of our theme park, seeing as this game is really popular in Japan. And I wasn't a huge fan of the new Animal Crossing game, but now with the new additions that they're adding to it with the next free update, I am pretty dang excited. It seems like the game is fully going to be fleshed out and worth buying, and I do like building games where you can build whatever you want, but Animal Crossing didn't quite scratch that itch. But after their new update, it definitely scratches that itch, and I'm excited to like build an island in the future. Hey, maybe this is foreshadowing to let's build the ultimate Animal Crossing island. Ooh. Or wait, I've still promised to do an ultimate zoo in the future too. Oh no, there's so much to build. But we are not going to put a ride in this little Animal Crossing village. This is simply going to be a nice little park area to come, sit down at a bench, and maybe just watch your kids run around for a bit as they explore these little Animal Crossing houses. Now you can't interact with these houses in Planet Coaster, but I'm going to use my imagination and act like you can actually go inside the houses and like interact with some villagers and sit on some furniture and stuff. But I didn't build anything too crazy. There's no rides or anything for them to ride. It's mainly just a little nature trail that jets off from the main path for a moment to give you some new scenery, and it can also be here to promote the new Animal Crossing game. I just had a little bit of space that I wanted to fill with something, and there wasn't quite enough space for a ride, so I thought this little village would add a ton of charm. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this village is really cute? I do hope that they upload some little character models of the animals so I can also place that around here in the future as well. Now back to things that bring in some money for our park. The next thing that could bring in some profits are hotels, which Planet Coaster does offer hotels that your guests can stay in, although it's kind of weird because the guests are technically never leaving the park, so it doesn't really make too much sense, but it's a thing that they can spend money on in this game. Something else you could charge for on Planet Coaster 2 is maybe the addition of tour guides. Guests could spend a couple $100s to have somebody take them around the whole entire park and explain things to them, take them to the beautiful lookout spots, and just give them a more in-depth experience. Now we do have vending machines and crane games as ways to make money, but something else I think would be great is having fair games and carnival games like ring toss and the ladder climb and those kind of things. Those bring in a lot of money for theme parks, and they're really great for people who are going on dates, you know, knocking over the pyramid of milk bottles and winning a big teddy bear for your lover. I would love to implement something like that to bring more money in. And also a huge thing is gift shops, which there is technically gift shops in the game, but I think it'd be better if you could build gift shops where people could end up spending hundreds of dollars on different knickknacks and stuff like people really do at theme parks, because some people go all out, especially at Disneyland, of course. But I'm going to challenge you guys to think of some other things that they could do to allow you to bring in some profits in your theme park. So comment question of the day is, what is a function they could add to Planet Coaster to allow you to bring in more profits in a realistic way? I just thought of quite a few ways, but I'm sure with our collective minds we could think of a lot of new stuff that they could implement. And I'm also really happy with all the decoration that we finished up this episode. This sky temple is looking absolutely beautiful with this newly decorated queue and all of the new landscaping. I kind of just let the building work for itself this episode as I talked about all of this other stuff in my mind, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation topics. In the next episode, I will be joining my friend Troy as we build a roller coaster around the volcano. Let's swerve our camera around all the stuff we just built. This line is looking very nice, quaint, very zen. I think that's the right word in this situation. And I'm glad we're finally getting close to having this section of the park fully decorated as well. We also have to do a fly-through of our little Animal Crossing village. It's so adorable over here. It just fits in so snug. It makes me really excited for the next version of Animal Crossing, building that hype up. We have quite a bit of Nintendo representation now. Got a Zelda castle, little Mario land, some Pokemon rides, and now a little Animal Crossing village showcase. And then in the next couple episodes, we're going to be working on our Astroworld inspired section. I'm glad we got the entrance built for this, and I can't wait to see it all come together. Now I'm going to finish off the video by letting you guys do a rotation at the top of the Sky Temple. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.